Have you ever looked at your bank account and wished for more security? For Maya and Andre, that longing was more than a passing thought. It was a constant ache, a quiet fear that crept in every time the mail arrived or the phone rang with another reminder of what they owed. For Maya and Andre, a young couple with 2 kids, this was daily life. Their world revolved around making ends meet, stretching every dollar, and hoping nothing unexpected would tip the balance. Living paycheck to paycheck, every unexpected expense felt like a crisis. A broken appliance, a school field trip, even a higher-than-usual utility bill could send their careful plans into chaos. They were tired of the anxiety and wanted to break free from just surviving. The weight of uncertainty pressed on them, making it hard to enjoy the little moments with their children. Their dream was simple: build a financial cushion for peace of mind, not luxury. They didn't want fancy vacations or new cars. They just wanted to breathe easier, to know they could handle whatever life threw at them. They wanted to say yes to their kids without checking their balance first, to give their children small joys, without the shadow of guilt or worry. The system wasn't helping them get ahead, so they decided to take control. They realized that waiting for things to change wasn't enough. They had to be the change. They made a pact to change their future, $1 at a time. It wasn't just about money, it was about hope, about reclaiming their sense of agency. This wasn't about getting rich quick, it was about building stability. They wanted to create a foundation strong enough to weather any storm. They saw how financial stress hurt families, and wanted a different story for their own. They dreamed of a home filled with laughter, not tension. Their shared vision became their guide, pushing them through tough choices. Every sacrifice was a step towards something better. They set a clear goal: end the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle for good. It was a promise to themselves, and to their children. One night after the kids were asleep, they had an honest talk about their fears and hopes. They shared their worries but also their determination to build a new legacy. This was their starting line, the beginning of a journey not just to financial freedom, but to a life where hope could finally outweigh fear. To start, Maya and Andre needed seed money, but there was no windfall coming, and every dollar already had a job. They set a goal: save $5,000 by breaking it into small, achievable steps, like skipping takeout and using coupons for groceries. They tracked every expense, canceled subscriptions, and swapped gym memberships for home workouts. Their tax refund, usually spent on treats or a weekend getaway, became the cornerstone of their savings. Depositing it into a separate account, and even a labeled envelope, was their first act of discipline. Next, they hustled. Andre picked up weekend repairs for neighbors, while Maya baked custom cakes late into the night. Every extra dollar, no matter how small, went straight into their fund, trading free time and sleep for future freedom. The hardest sacrifice was canceling a long-awaited family vacation. The kids were heartbroken, and Maya felt guilty, but they knew it was necessary. Instead, they created a staycation. Board games, backyard picnics, and movie nights at home, using the saved money to inch closer to their goal. Each choice was tough, and sometimes emotional, but every dollar saved was a building block. They learned that progress meant giving up some comforts now for security later, and leaned on each other during the hardest moments. Their $5,000 fund became a symbol of teamwork, sacrifice, and commitment. It wasn't easy, and the emotional toll was real, but it was the foundation they needed. Together, they were ready for the next step, stronger, closer, and more determined than ever. With $5,000 saved, Maya and Andre knew they needed a strategy that balanced risk and reward, something they could manage as a team, even with their busy family life. They sat down one evening, after putting the kids to bed, and mapped out their options. They wanted to grow their savings but also protect it. That's when they landed on a two-pronged approach: reselling and short-term investing. On one side, Maya would take charge of reselling. She'd always had an eye for hidden treasures at thrift stores. Once she found a designer jacket for $10 and flipped it for $80 online. With $2,000, she scoured local shops, searching for items she knew would sell, and reinvested every bit of profit back into new inventory. Each sale was a small victory, and Maya kept meticulous notes: what sold quickly, what sat for weeks, and which platforms worked best. She even involved the kids, letting them help sort and photograph items, turning it into a family project. Meanwhile, Andre focused on investing. He put $3,000 into a mix of stable stocks and ETFs, aiming for steady, small gains rather than risky bets. He remembered a friend who lost big chasing hot stocks, so he set strict rules for himself. No emotional trades, always do the research, and never invest money they couldn't afford to lose. Together, they created a checklist to keep themselves accountable. Every week, they'd sit down, review their progress, and celebrate sticking to their plan, no matter how small the win. Every purchase, every trade, and even their feelings about each decision were logged. If Maya felt nervous about a big buy, or Andre hesitated on a trade, they wrote it down. This helped them spot patterns and avoid repeating mistakes. This discipline kept them grounded and focused, even when things got stressful. They learned to separate emotion from action, and to trust the process they'd built together. Their approach was simple, accessible, and designed to avoid impulsive mistakes. It wasn't flashy, but it was something they could stick to, no matter what life threw at them. With their plan in place, Maya and Andre felt ready, not just to make their money work for them, but to build something lasting for their family. The first 6 months brought a string of small victories. Maya's reselling profits soared as her products sold out faster than she could restock. Each morning she'd check her laptop and find new orders waiting, her excitement contagious throughout the house. Meanwhile, Andre's investments grew steadily, with their initial capital doubling in record time. Every uptick in their portfolio felt like a personal triumph, and the family celebrated each milestone together. Every sale, every gain, felt like a win, fueling their confidence and making the journey feel almost effortless. Reinvesting their profits, they bought more inventory and upgraded their tools, which only accelerated their growth. The momentum was exhilarating. The thrill of making money, even while they slept, was intoxicating. It felt like they had finally cracked the code to financial freedom. With each success, their confidence grew. They started to believe they could do no wrong. Soon, they began bending their own rules, chasing bigger, riskier wins. Andre eyed volatile stocks, convinced he could outsmart the market. Maya started buying pricier inventory, certain it would sell just as quickly. The discipline that had built their foundation began to slip. They started ignoring the careful planning that had gotten them this far. Their conversations shifted. They dreamed of accelerating their timeline, imagining what life would be like if their success continued at this pace. They talked more about fortunes than safety nets, letting ambition overshadow caution. The lure of quick wealth was strong, and the temptation to take shortcuts grew with every win. They lost sight of their original plan, letting excitement and overconfidence cloud their judgment. Their early wins blinded them to the risks ahead, making them believe setbacks couldn't touch them. The careful navigation that brought them success was replaced by reckless ambition and impulsive choices. They were heading straight for trouble, unaware of the dangers gathering just out of sight. Their journey was about to take a sharp turn, one they never saw coming. The turning point came when a new craze swept the market. Limited edition designer toys, hyped as the next big thing. Stories of overnight millionaires and viral success tempted them, and soon, every headline and forum post seemed to promise easy riches. The family debated for days, torn between caution and the fear of missing out. In the end, excitement won out over their usual careful planning. They broke their own rules, liquidating previous investments and pooling nearly $15,000, almost everything they had made so far, into this one risky bet. At first, it looked brilliant. Their investment soared on paper, and for a brief moment, it felt like they had made the right call. But then, almost overnight, the market crashed. Prices plummeted, and demand vanished. Their $15,000 became nearly worthless inventory, and panic set in as they watched their hard-earned gains evaporate. The silence in their home was heavy with regret. Every unopened box was a reminder of the risk they'd taken. They had risked everything for a shortcut, and now, almost all they'd built was gone. The emotional toll was immense. The dream of quick wealth had turned into a nightmare, leaving them with sleepless nights and a mountain of regret. Their partnership was shaken, their confidence shattered, and the family's unity tested like never before. They had to face the consequences of flying too close to the sun, and figure out how to rebuild together. The financial loss was devastating, but the emotional fallout was even more overwhelming. Fear crept into every corner of their home, making even simple conversations feel heavy and fraught. Teamwork gave way to blame and resentment. Arguments erupted over the smallest things, and the once united family began to splinter under the weight of their disappointment. Andre, racked with guilt, withdrew from the family. He spent hours alone, haunted by the memory of their mistake and the fear that he had let everyone down. Maya's frustration simmered beneath the surface. She replayed every decision in her mind, wishing she had spoken up against the risky bet. The regret gnawed at her, fueling her anger and anxiety. Every unsold box was a painful reminder of failure. The sight of them filled the house with a sense of hopelessness, as if their dreams were packed away and left to gather dust. Their home was tense, conversations strained and circular. Silence became their new normal, each family member retreating into their own world of worry and doubt. Andre wanted to cut their losses and move on, desperate to escape the constant stress. Maya, on the other hand, clung to hope, wanting to wait for a market rebound and recover what they'd lost. Their disagreement deepened the rift, exposing differences in how they handled risk, disappointment, and the fear of starting over. Each argument left them feeling more alone. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was about trust, communication, and the very foundation of their partnership. The fear of losing each other now overshadowed the fear of financial ruin. Their journey had reached a breaking point. Something had to change, or the damage would become permanent, not just to their finances, but to their family itself. After weeks of tension and sleepless nights, Maya called for a reset. She knew they couldn't keep avoiding the truth, and Andre agreed. It was time to face the numbers and themselves. Together, they gathered every receipt, every notebook, and every digital record. As they retraced their journey, they saw how their careful discipline had slowly given way to impulsive decisions and late-night purchases fueled by hope and anxiety. Their spreadsheet told a sobering story. Excitement and FOMO had crept in, replacing the caution that once guided them. Each highlighted loss was a reminder of a moment they'd chosen risk over reason. The reality check was painful. They'd lost over 80% of their big bet. The numbers were more than just figures. They were a mirror reflecting their hopes, mistakes, and the pressure they'd put on themselves. Their net worth, once near $30,000, had dropped to $8,000. The graph's downward slope felt like a punch in the gut, and the silence between them was heavy with regret. But as they sat together, hands clasped, they realized that facing the numbers together was the first step to healing. It wasn't just about money, it was about honesty, vulnerability, and forgiveness. They talked late into the night, weighing their options. In the end, they compromised: sell half the failed inventory for closure and store the rest for possible future value. It was a difficult decision, but it gave them both a sense of control. This decision balanced Andre's need to move on and Maya's hope for recovery. For the first time in months, they felt like partners again, working toward a common goal. It marked a turning point. They were a team again. The weight of blame and disappointment began to lift, replaced by a quiet determination to rebuild. The audit wasn't just about money. It was about rebuilding trust, learning to communicate openly and forgiving themselves for the risks they took. They reflected on what went wrong, but also on what they'd learned. With new resolve, they started planning a new path. One built on lessons, not regrets. The journey wasn't over, it was evolving. And this time, they would move forward together, stronger and wiser than before. Humbled by their losses, Maya and Andre started over with a new sense of purpose. They sat down together late into the night, listing every mistake and every lesson learned. They created a strict rule: no single investment could ever exceed 5% of their capital, and every decision had to be discussed together. No more solo risks. The first few weeks were tough. Old habits crept in. Maya caught herself eyeing trending products, while Andre was tempted by risky stocks. But each time, they reminded each other of their new rules, holding one another accountable. Maya shifted her focus to low-cost, high-margin reselling. She researched suppliers, tracked every expense, and only reinvested profits. There were days when sales were slow and doubts crept in, but she stuck to the plan, refusing to chase quick wins. Andre, meanwhile, set up automatic investments into index funds, using dollar-cost averaging. He resisted the urge to check the market daily, trusting the process even when the numbers barely moved. They celebrated every small win: a successful sale, a week without breaking their rules, a tiny uptick in their account balance. Sometimes progress felt painfully slow, but they learned to find joy in consistency. There were moments of tension too: disagreements over spending, frustration when growth stalled, and the fear of repeating old mistakes. But instead of arguing, they paused, listened, and worked through each challenge as a team. Over time, their trust in each other deepened. They shared their worries, supported each other through setbacks, and made every financial decision together. After 6 months of steady effort, their account finally surpassed $15,000 again. This time, the number felt real, earned through discipline, not luck. They hugged, relieved and proud, knowing they had rebuilt not just their finances, but their partnership. The lessons from failure made them stronger. Consistency and teamwork replaced the lure of shortcuts, and every challenge they faced became another reason to trust each other more. Now, with a solid foundation and renewed confidence, Maya and Andre were ready for lasting success, together. Over the next year, Maya and Andre stuck to their disciplined strategy, determined not just to rebuild their finances, but to rebuild their confidence and trust in themselves. Their financial growth was steady, not dramatic, but with each small step forward, they gained something more valuable than numbers on a spreadsheet. 18 months after starting, their net worth topped $60,000. The achievement was real, but the journey had changed their perspective on what success truly meant. They not only recovered, but doubled their previous peak. Yet the numbers felt less important than the lessons they'd learned along the way. The real victory was the wisdom gained from failure. They realized that setbacks are not just obstacles, but opportunities to grow stronger and wiser. They learned restraint, patience, and the value of sound principles. But more than that, they discovered the importance of humility, gratitude, and the courage to ask for help when needed. Their relationship grew stronger through honest communication and compromise. They found that true wealth is built on trust, understanding, and shared goals. They became a true team, resilient and united. Working together, they learned that success is not just about reaching a number, but about supporting each other through every challenge. Their story is a reminder: setbacks aren't the end. They're often the beginning of something deeper: self-discovery, growth, and renewed purpose. The path to financial security is rarely straight. It twists and turns, teaching us to adapt, to persevere, and to find meaning in the journey itself. Don't give up, learn, adapt, and lean on your support system. True success is built with the help of those who care about you. Every step, even backward ones, builds a stronger future. The memories, the lessons, and the bonds you create along the way are just as important as any financial gain. Maya and Andre's journey proves that resilience and discipline are the real keys to lasting success. But perhaps the greatest reward is discovering that true wealth is measured not just in dollars, but in the strength of your character, the depth of your relationships, and the wisdom you carry forward.